Hi and welcome to video 1 of Module 2, Installing Windows Server Migration Tools. I'm Andrew McMurray, Technical Evangelist for Microsoft. As you can see, we've started our recording at the Server Manager product inside Windows Server 2012, and we're going to install the Windows Server Migration Tools from within Server Manager. All I need to do in order to do this is to click the Manage button, which you'll see within the Server Manager dashboard. When I click the Manage button, I will be given the option to install roles and features. I could also do this from within PowerShell. I'm going to choose Add Roles and Features, like so, and we'll click on the Next button. And as you can see, we get to choose between role-based or remote desktop services. We will choose role-based. We'll install on the local server rather than a virtual hard drive. And when we click the Next button, we'll be clicking the Next button again because this isn't a role, it's a feature. Clicking on the Next button now takes us to the list of features. We need to scroll all the way to the bottom and choose Windows Server Migration Tools. We could have done this through PowerShell as well using the Install Windows Features commandlet. What we'll now do is we'll click the Next button and confirm that we wish to install the Windows Server Migration Tools. As a best practice, I'll choose Restart the destination server automatically if required, and I'll answer yes to the prompt to indicate that I'm aware that the destination server is going to restart if it's required. In this case, being the migration tools, we don't need to. I can export the configuration settings to reuse them later on if I wish. I'll now click the Install button. Just out of interest here, we have the ability from an x86 environment to migrate from Windows Server 2003 with Service Pack 2, Windows Server 2003 R2, or Windows Server 2008. In an x64 environment, we can use Windows Server 2008 R2, Server Core R2, Windows Server 2012 with or without a GUI. We'll be showing you, after having completed this demonstration, how we can then take the migration tools across to our source server running Windows Server 2008 R2. As you can see, our installation has now finished. We'll click the Close button and now prepare to send the machines to Server 2008. Now that we've installed our migration tools on Windows Server 2012, we now need to create deployment folders for our Windows Server 2008 R2 source computer by using the smigdeploy.exe tool, which is included with the Windows Server migration tools on the computer running Windows Server 2012. What we will then do is copy those tools to Windows Server 2008 and register them on that particular source computer. From the command line, you can see that I'm sitting at the root of the C drive. I need to change directory to Windows System32 Server Migration Tools. From that folder, I will execute smigdeploy.exe, which will go ahead and create a package of migration tools that can be copied to Windows Server 2008. I'll specify the architecture as x64, the operating system as WS08R2, and the path of migration tools, which is a folder I've created on the C drive. Obviously there are switches for other types of operating systems as well, as you saw in your reading. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to look inside that migration tools folder, and you can see it's created a server migration tools folder for WS08R2 on x64. What I will now do is I will copy that particular folder and paste it into my source Windows Server 2008 R2 server, of which I'm going to migrate the WSUS role fairly soon. Now that we've copied those files across to Windows Server 2008 R2, we will need to register those migration tools with Windows PowerShell. We can use smigdeploy.exe to register these particular tools on a migration computer that's running Server 2008 R2, 2008 or Server 2003. From the command prompt here, I will browse to the directory where we copied those files, and then I will execute a smigdeploy command. What that will do is register these particular tools with Windows PowerShell, and then from that point on, we can start to work with those tools. As you can see, it's checked the prerequisites to make sure they're in place, being in the case of Server 2008, Windows PowerShell 1.0, or .NET Framework 2 if we were dealing with a Windows Server 2003 box. Those are in place, so we register with PowerShell and open up a separate command line window. This will now allow us to start running the various migration tool commands that we need to run.